Hey, folks, welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk with my raspy voice about geocaches and geocachers from here and all around the world. So while you're reveling in the return of football, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And of course, we U.S.-centric folk are talking about American football, not the global game known as football, and absolutely not the game of Australian football, which I just can't understand. It's fascinating and entertaining, but I don't get it at all. Fun, though. Tonight, though, we're not talking about football. We're just looking forward to it. We're going to talk about Gadget Caches and so much more with our guest, West Virginia Tim. He's right over there. Welcome, Tim.
Hey there. How are you guys?
We're doing good. We're so glad you're here. As always, live audience, we are glad you're here also. Please jump in the chat, share your thoughts. We love hearing from you. We love interacting with you. I am Wit's End, and that's two of the hosts. It's now time to bring in our mechanical macaque. Some say he puts the growl in growlers. And others say he hangs out at bars more than the dartboard. All we know is he's called a land monkey.
Hey. Good evening. Good evening, fine people. Good to be back here. It's Thursday night. It's 9 p.m. Pacific time, midnight Eastern, and
all that stuff.
I don't know what time it is, Zulu.
And that's one of my favorite terms so far because I do like a growler. It is 4 a.m. tomorrow. That's Friday, September 9th, Zulu, by the way.
Excellent. Well, that's good to know because in the future, you will be doing the podcast at 4 a.m. my time.
I've never been to Zulu.
Yeah.
I hope to someday, but I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
It will. It will, man. Anyways, good to be here with all you. Good to see you again, Tim. I saw you last in Seattle, and you were a very, very busy man in Seattle.
It was pretty crazy there.
That indeed.
I think that sums it up just perfectly.
That's about it.
Well, hey, before we jump into the conversation with Tim, a quick reminder that we do appreciate the support of all of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. Thanks to Land Sharks with a Z, one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. Land Sharks is back in the office. They have recuperated from Geo Woodstock in Seattle. They have been getting products out. There's all kinds of new products on the website, so check it out and see what you want to get from Land Sharks. Or, hey, if you're planning a trip over to Vancouver Island, make sure you put Esquimalt on your to-do list and go visit the brick and mortar shop of Land Sharks. All right, well, that's Land Sharks with the Z.ca. And, also, I want to throw out our other, well, I don't want to throw them out. I want to promote them.
That's right.
Our other corporate Denali level sponsors. I want to throw this out to you, dear listening audience. We have another great corporate Denali level sponsor, and that is Gold Country Geotourism. And hey, do you know what this weekend is? In fact,
no, tell me.
Starting tomorrow, they are launching a new geotour, 50 new caches, an additional geotour. So it's not an extension of the existing geotour. It is an additional geotour. So there are 2 geotours in Gold Country live effective tomorrow morning, Friday morning. So, hey, all the more reason to go visit exploregoldcountry.com, learn about the geotours, learn about the region, learn about the amazing history and wonderful, beautiful people, and plan your trip like Limax and a number of other of our listeners did.
We heard from a lot of people that went to Gold Country, and that's great.
Yeah. Congrats to all of you who went up there and enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Look forward to hearing about that from all of you. And folks, if you want to know more about supporting this show, well, just click that Patreon link on the cachingNW.com, a website.
And by the way, speaking of both Limax and Land Sharks, he says the brick and mortar shop is really cool. And I have to concur. I've been there. I was to the previous brick and mortar location. I was not to the original, but they've all been very cool.
You've been to the last two, actually.
I have, yes.
Mhm.
So this one and the prior one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff.
So what else is going on?
Well, I don't know if anything else is really going on or not. But
All right. Well, then thanks for joining us. See you next week.
folks, if you want to join in tonight's show, I wanted to say, actually, before I got into that, I was looking, Limax sent us a voicemail, but I wasn't prepared for it. I should have been. I apologize, Limax. But when he got back home, there was a letter waiting from him or for him from Gold Country with his gold bar in it.
Nice.
So just to know that, yes, they mail those out quickly. So thank you, Gold Country, for all that you do. Now, folks, we want you to join in tonight's chat because we know you have questions for WVTim.
Yeah.
So why don't you use the hashtag WVTim? I know I'm very original, but it's easy to remember and easy to spell since we spell out, 2/5 of it for you. So use the hashtag WVTim to join in tonight's chat. Of course, you can use the hashtag FATAS to bring up anything in the after show. And we already have a hashtag podcast baking to let us know what you're cooking. So, Tim, for some reason, people like to bake during this podcast. Perhaps it's the time of night. Perhaps it's our melodious voices that just inspire them. But we get a lot of bakers going on, so we have to know what they're baking when they're out there listening to us.
Yeah, Monkey Cakes is baking peach kuchen.
Oh,
And I don't know what exactly that is, but I want some.
I know exactly what that is. And yeah, we all want some.
Everybody wants some. You want some too.
That's right.
I could write a song.
Millions of peaches. Peaches for me. No?
Peaches come from a can. They were put there by a man in a factory downtown.
Yeah, there's
If
that.
I had my way,
That's different.
I would
That's
eat
different.
peaches every day.
Every day. Hey, it's so good that Tim hasn't run away yet.
Somehow
We're
my
trying.
wife hadn't heard that song before this year.
Yeah, my son and I once at the dinner table started reciting that, and my wife looked at us as if we had three eyes. But, it was okay.
You could have just said that you were quoting the presidents of the United States of America.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Don't you know?
All
guys?
right.
Something that is real that's happening here in the Northwest.
Please bring
Not
us back to just center us again, will you please?
Thank you. Well, I want to talk about World Mental Health Day.
We could use that.
We
Yes,
could
obviously.
use that.
Monday, October 10th is World Mental Health Day. And as a result, the Washington State Parks have a free day. That means no Discover passes are needed. Now, you've got about a month to do this. So plan that, put that on your calendar. It's a Monday.
Yeah, plenty of advance notice. This is good.
Mhm. So there you go. Sorry, you threw me off there, Wits End. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's the state parks are awesome.
Yes.
Getting in free, well, that's usually at the top of my list. Mental Health Day. I'm not going to go into it, but mental health, it's a huge, big deal. And I have so many people in my personal world that have dealt with or are dealing with mental health issues. And I joke a lot, but that's not something to joke about. So, get out there, enjoy the national parks for free, mind you, no admission fee required.
State parks.
And state parks, thank you.
State parks. Anywhere you would need a Discover pass.
I mean, enjoy
Yes.
the national parks too. but
Enjoy them too, but they're not free on October 10th. Thank you for clarifying that, my error. But the state parks are free in Washington State on October 10th. And yeah, by all means, mental health, huge deal.
I'm curious if any other states or provinces in the Pacific Northwest do that on World Mental Health Day. That seems like a good idea.
It does. Yeah,
They
I don't know, but we don't have a research department tonight except, well, the chat room,
All
who
of them.
rocks as research department. So maybe they'll let us know if they find anything.
I just wanted to let you know that Limax, our Southern California or our Northern California listener, says,
Yeah.
I can go to Hayak for free.
Please
Yeah, see,
come on up and go to Hayak.
He knows now. He
Oh, so
knows.
that's the same day as Going Ape. No, it's not. Sorry, no, I'm
No.
out. I'm off
That's
by
a month.
just a month.
Going Ape is this weekend.
I know how getting the month wrong happens. I do it all the time. There's a backstory there that I won't go into, but yes, it's next month, Land Monkey. October 10th, not September, which is, well, September. We all know it's the national month of Land Monkey's birthday. That's just, I think it's on my calendar.
I've tried to put it on everybody's calendar.
It's somewhere vaguely in the month of September within the next 24 hours. I don't know exactly when it is.
Perfect. All right. Well, have we made Tim wait long enough, or do we want to drag this out?
So, yeah.
No, you guys keep going. You're fast enough. I think I'm going to start getting up every night. I mean, every Thursday at 12 o'clock just to catch this.
Well, you can't do it Thursday at 12 o'clock because for you, it's Friday at 12 o'clock. And we thank you so much for staying up late, giving us your first hour of Friday. We have not forgotten about you. We're honestly, no joke, we are so glad you're here. Please, if there's some listeners out there that aren't familiar with you, introduce yourself to us. Let our listeners know, well, as much as you're comfortable sharing about yourself and what you do and all you bring to geocaching.
Well, I'm just an old retired guy. Worked nearly 30 years for Verizon and retired as a Verizon executive, and kind of.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you? That's gone now. Now we've now we've got the lady from Sprint, but So I'm just an old cache builder from West Virginia, just a country bumpkin, and just enjoy caching and working with our community, and it's kind of a way for me to give back because I'm so connected to the Tourism Bureau. We were sitting beside you guys, in Seattle, so we were there with our county was one of the few there, but I'm there with them, and it's my way of kind of giving back. In West Virginia, we've got a beautiful state, but we have in Berkeley County, we have no national parks. We have no state parks. West Virginia is known for whitewater rafting. We don't have any water. It's known for its skiing, and we're not in the mountains. I mean, we're in the mountains, but not in the skiing mountains. So all the things that make West Virginia tourist attractions, whitewater rafting, some of the parks, we just don't have it. But we've got one thing, and we've got geocaching. And so we've literally put our county on the map with geocaching. So that's the beauty of having a tour. When you have a geo tour, they track all your visitors, and they can tell you, you get little reports, and it comes out with the United States map, and it has little dots and says, here's the people that visited, and here's how long they stayed, and here's where they came from. So in the last year, I think we've had people from 40 countries and every state in the union.
Wow.
And
Wow.
our geocaching community is very, very small, everybody, because boy, it must be really exciting to be in such a huge geocaching community. Well, if we have an event and have 10 people show up, that's like big deal here. We're population 10,000 people here. We are on a north-south interstate route, and that's a good thing. But geocaching is kind of our thing, and I started building these crazy caches, and people started coming. And how I connected with the Visitors Bureau, I did this seminar annually, and we had people come in, and I just bring speakers, and we would just try to, it's for our caching community. So this lady was sitting in the front, and whole time, she was taking notes and wasn't talking to anybody else. And I'm like, who is this lady? So finally, after the whole event was over, she came over and she handed me a card, and it says Berkeley County Visitors Bureau. She said, could we talk next week? And that's what started, her basically asking, what can we do together? And that's kind of how I started working with the county.
Nice.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Now, I talking about your stats, I would expect that to be reversed, right? There's a couple of countries and maybe 40 states, not 40 countries and all the
right.
Somebody has come to visit Berkeley County. That's impressive. But Tim, you're well known for your gadget caches, and I have to say I was impressed when I was able to see some of the samples that you brought to the 20th anniversary event. I mean, we were right next door to each other.
Yep.
And so, your table was busy all day long, and you're just showing the caches over and over. So everybody can build these. Now, are your designs revolutionary or evolutionary? Meaning, do you have a flash of inspiration and that's what you go to build? Or do you make small changes and improvements as you go along on each cache?
Well, I think I just get inspiration. I'll just think of something or see something and go, you know what, I can make a cache out of that.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I clearly, because of my channel, some of my designs are best created by other people because if I showed you how to build if I showed you detailed instructions how to do something, you've got a really great chance of, now you don't have to be inspired. You're already inspired by here's how to do it. Right. So a lot of people's caches, exactly like mine, are better than mine because they have improved it. It's that first one is kind of hard. I get so many caches that, I get so many logs where, my YouTube channel, this is kind of hard to believe, but my YouTube channel's, like 1.6 million views. And wow. That's not much for a guy like Josh, the vlogger. Although one of his most seen TikToks is a video of my lamppost cache. It's called Under a Lamppost, and I think that's, it hit over $2 million. 2 million views.
Yeah.
So he's entertaining. When you can't sleep, you can turn on my channel and it puts you to sleep. So my channel is not meant to be entertaining. It's me just saying, okay, let's go find this, and we try to show people how to find it. Then I take them back in the shop and show them how to build it. And that's kind of been my format. It's not entertaining, not, nothing to look at. I don't have a, ton of energy. I just say, here's how to do it. Here's how I did this. But I get logs all the time. People would say, I'd give you a favorite vote on this, but I found one just like it. And they'll tell me where they found one. And, I'd talked to that guy 6 months ago by email because he'd asked me questions, like, how'd you do this and how'd you do that? And so I try to help people out because really that's the whole thing, is I'm really just trying to improve the game. It's just all about improving a game. So I put out these caches, like my Lego cache, it kind of went crazy and it got copied everywhere. And my cache that uses balloons, that you put a balloon in a hole and blow up the balloon and it opens the door, that's been copied. So many of my caches, I think I've only got like 1 or 2 geocaches of the week, but my caches have made like 15 geocaches of the week. So the other people, they go, wow, this is a great idea. So they get geocache of the week.
Right.
But, that's really what it's all about, really, because I tell people right on my YouTube channel, I said, don't dare waste the precious the precious geocache page by giving me credit. Who cares if you're in Arizona that you were inspired by this cache by some guy named West Virginia Tim? I mean, if you're out there using your phone and you're caching, you don't want to read who inspired your cache. So I said, just take it and run with it, so I'm tickled to death when other people, get accolades from some of my designs. Hopefully, I've just, in my time in creating geocaches, I've just created some conversation and got some stuff started. And,
Sure.
That's what it's really all about.
Well, we have a question from GSM Times 2 that asks, are you still making videos?
Yeah, sure I am.
Okay.
I don't make as many, but I think in the last I've put out 2 months ago, and then I was looking at my channel right here, and then one before it. So I put out 3 in the last 12 months. So I don't do a lot, but because I think I've got like 35 ideas here on mine. So if you're looking for ideas, I mean, my channel, Josh puts out 1 a week. I'm putting out 2 or 3 a year now, but I've got 35 great ideas, and and I'm still, as I come up with them, I'll still put out, if I get a really great idea, I don't put all mine out there, but if I get an idea and I go, you know what, this is easy enough. I didn't put any of my smart caches. Because the smart caches were just too complicated. I mean, it's one thing to put a smart cache in a box. It's that whole process of programming, that's silly Arduino. It's a whole nother ball of wax to do that. So I didn't do that, but so I'm still putting them out. When I come up with a great idea, I think it's easy to build. People can see it over the video, then I want to show them.
Yeah. And, talking about great ideas, birdhouses seems to be a common theme. There were some fantastic birdhouse examples in Seattle that you brought with you there. And Bell on the Move says, how long have you been frustrating the heck out of birds with fake birdhouses? There's some probably frustrated birds around our community here. Berkeley County, all the birds have left and they went to Seattle, I guess, because they're just tired of pecking on these things. Yeah, that's cute. That's cute. I'm sure there's some birds that have looked at that very puzzling, like, why can't I get in this thing? Do the birds get a souvenir if they gain access to the burn house?
Not if they don't take the code word to the Visitors Bureau.
Fair enough.
Most birds can't write.
They lack the opposable thumbs and many other factors. And,
I guess they could sing a tune, right?
Something like that, yeah. There are birdhouses, but there's a lot of other things too. But all of your gadgets, I've been so impressed. I've not been to West Virginia. I hope to go someday. I hear it's just absolutely amazing. It's younger than the mountains. It's I hear life is old there, older than the trees. But
that could be a song.
It should be. It should be. You've probably never heard that before. But your gadgets, well, frankly, they're awesome, and they're simple sometimes complex, but they're sturdy. How often do you have to do maintenance on your hides? Because, I hate to say it, some geocaches out there, well, they break caches. I don't know anything about pump handles and things that might have been at the 20th anniversary celebration. I'm not going to go there, but sometimes geocaches break. Your gadgets seem to be really sturdy. Do you have to do a lot of maintenance on your stuff?
Yeah, I still do a lot of maintenance. As long as geocachers have access to hammers and screwdrivers, uh, you're always gonna have maintenance, and
Yeah.
you're gonna have it. But you know, in Seattle, those caches had to be operated. I don't know, 3 or 4,000 times,
Yeah.
and you've got to make your caches almost what you think is indestructible. Even one of those I took to Seattle, I kept when they invited me to do the caches there. In Seattle, I tried to think of a design that would just be almost impossible to break. But I made a mistake, and on one of the ones that you open the drawer, you had to open the front. It was called dowels, DOWELS. You guys in the West Coast don't call them dowels, but in fact, people kept saying, "What
Yeah.
word are you using?" And I'm saying, "I call this cache dowels," and they go, "Can you say that again?" And so I say, so my West Virginia accent gets in my way, but it had dowels on the side, front, and the back, and so and the lock only had three digits. So you look at the cache and you walk up to it, and it says use the dowel or dowels to open the cache. So there were 5 on one side, 5 on the front, 3 on the other side. So they'd put, "Oh, I know, the lock code is 553." And I go, "No, it's not." And so then they would count the ones across the top line, then second line, then third line. But really, it was a very simple cache, but people sat in front of it for a half hour. That's what makes a memorable cache. I don't like to make, I mean, I think any cache designer can make it so you can't get in it, or nearly impossible, but that's not fun. Nobody walks away from an experience like that going, "Wow,
Right.
wasn't that just fun?" We sit out there for an hour and it was 95 degrees, and they're just pulling their hair out. So this design is so simple. There was 3 dowels on the bottom, and I have a video of it. There's 3 dowels on the bottom, and all you do is grab one of the dowels and you open the door. But when I built it, I knew in Seattle it was going to get used thousands of times.
Right.
I ended up buying a magnet that was just about too strong. So when you opened the door, you had to kind of like pull the dial. And then when you close it, it went, man, boy, that thing just snapped closed. You didn't want to put your fingers in there, Well, after being slapped closed probably 3,000-4,000 times, because we had people backed up 50 deep, my board started cracking, just with a small crack right on the front. And this was an indestructible cache, but yet after you slam it shut, just time after time after time, it eventually had a crack. Didn't break, but I ended up with a little crack in the front. And I thought, wow, I thought I had an indestructible cache. But you pretty much have to try to build a cache that is nearly indestructible. If not, you're just going to be out there doing maintenance all the time.
So
Yeah.
Tim, on that note, about building the cache so that it lasts, there was a good question that came in from Wet Coaster here, and that is, how do you treat the wood on your caches to survive the weather?
There's a lot of people now, they're making this real fancy, plastic stuff that they make the furniture out of. I forget what they call it, but it's it's like a plastic polymer. It's kind of like the deck boards, but that stuff's really expensive. People use cedar, and of course cedar's great, but cedar's really expensive. I just use pine. But I find if I take my pine and I coat it with 1 or 2 coats of a real high quality primer, and then I will paint it. Now I paint it on front, back, and sides, This that way, because you can't just paint the front. You really need to paint the inside too, because that's what causes it. It seals it. And then I put it with a real high quality paint. You can usually leave them out there for 4 or 5 years. And the first thing I've learned this after 10 years of doing this, the first thing that deteriorates is the top. So what I've started doing now, the 2 caches, I don't know if you noticed, but the 2 caches I had in Seattle, I now wrap with aluminum. That's ALUMIN. I mean, I can't say aluminum either.
Aluminium.
Yeah,
It's just because it's aluminum here. It's aluminium.
yeah,
But
yeah. So, but I'll take that. Let's call it 10. So I'll take 10, and see, I can say 10. West Virginia, 10 sounds just like it does in Seattle.
Works for me.
TIN. So I take 10,
Oh,
and I'll wrap the top of my cache in 10. So then all the snow, because we have snow here for 2 to 3 months a year.
Yeah.
So all the snow and all the rain that's sitting on the top, then the tin kind of takes off. That cache will last for 4 or 5 years. I still bring, after 4 or 5 years, I'll be honest with you, it's about it. Then you got to bring it in and paint it. So
Yeah.
let me tell you a really cute story. I know I'm not supposed to stay off subject.
Oh no, we love stories. Please.
feel free.
Okay, so here's this. So I show up at this farm orchard, and I had a cache called Moving Up, and it had a marble, and you had to move the marble up, and all the marble did was hit a gate latch, and when it hit the gate latch, it opened the door. It was really cute. And so I show up at this orchard, and these people love this cache, the owners of the orchard. So I show up, and there's my 4x4 post, no cache on it. And I go, oh my gosh, it's not broke. Somebody stole the whole cache. And I've had that happen. But somebody took the whole cache. And so I go, well, I'll have to go in, tell the proprietor there that I'll have to make another cache. I'll be back. I walk in, there's my cache, and it's on the counter. It's not the same color. That's what I had. It's got a coat of primer on it. So I'm sitting there, and the lady comes up, and I said, I said, what happened? And she said, oh, our cache needed painted. Their cache, not mine. Our geocache needed painted. So we thought it was really time to bring it in. So we've got the coat of primer on it, and we're going to get the other coat of paint back on it, and we'll get it back out there, Tim. And I go, okay, I really appreciate that. I said, you don't have to do that. I do maintain these caches. And they go, oh, no,
Right.
no, we wanted it to look good. It represents our business. And so, but after 4 or 5 years, it does need paint, whether you paint it or the business owner paints it.
Sure.
It's going to need to go to paint.
Wow. That's funny that they thought it was theirs.
Yeah, well, and honestly, I walked in Chick-fil-A last year, and I had taken the cache down, had it setting in the Chick-fil-A restaurant. I texted the owner and said, hey, I'm out in the restaurant. If you have a second, I'd like to talk to you. And she come down through there. She just looked at me, and she said, and she starts pointing like this. She says, first off, Tim Eggleston, I want you to know you can't take my cache. Like, I'm being threatened to take her geocache. And I said, I'm archiving this geocache. She goes, what's that mean? And I explained it to her. She goes, no, you're not taking our cache. And I said, well, here's the deal. I'm bringing another one back next week, because I try to rotate mine, because we have, I take caches out that have 500 and 600 favorite boats, and people think I'm crazy. But,
Sure.
People driving up and down the interstate from Florida or all the way up from Maine, and they're driving back up and down the coast. They don't want to go into necessarily Berkeley County and cache, but they like to hit those caches that are along our interstate. And so even with 500 and 600 favorite boats, I take those caches out, and we'll put a new cache in.
Yeah.
And so the lady at Chick-fil-A, she's threatening my life because I was taking her geocache. So the way you do that is you just develop a relationship with the owner.
Yeah.
I took last week. I took 2 log sheets into 2 different businesses, and they're just like, "Wow!" I mean, I just can't believe it. I go, "Well," I said, "Hey, I put this log sheet's 3 months old, and my log sheets I put four columns on a side, and I can put 3 or 4 sheets of paper in there. I used the preform tubes. I'm
Mhm.
not. I don't have the luxury of. Sometimes I'll see other videos and people are putting little micros, in their geocaches, and that's great for them. But I'd be out there every week or two replacing. When you
Right.
got people coming from all over everywhere,
Mhm.
and when they come here, I don't. You really they count on those caches being there, and that's the good news and bad news about a geotour. If you got a geotour, they can't earn the geotour souvenir if they don't get all the caches.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I use preform tubes, and the example, the preform tube that I had in Seattle had 1,500 signatures on it. So my caches, when I put them out, had between 1 and 2,000 spots for signatures.
Important. Yeah.
Well, and
Wow.
that saves your maintenance. That just saves
Right.
maintenance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Hey, we have a question from Keats94 that says, "Are your hides beyond the realm of West Virginia?"
Um,
Meaning, are they outside the
I,
state?
I've only been out of West Virginia once to go to Seattle. Is there other
Oh.
places?
Nope, that's it. That's it.
Oh, I was gonna say, I thought it was just the West Virginia border. My parents told me never to leave there, that people wouldn't understand what I was saying.
No,
From
Seattle's
what I've
they-
heard about West Virginia, that's good advice.
They told me that everybody else talks funny.
Yeah.
It's
That is true.
that is true. Yeah.
No. Well, no, and yes. I have one in Pennsylvania. I'm a biker. We bicycle. In fact, we're going to the state of Ohio. You all call it.
Ohio.
Yeah, I call it Ohio. So, uh, so I'm going to Ohio next week, and I'm biking from Columbus to Cleveland. So
Oh.
Okay.
200 miles.
Yep.
So we bike in Pennsylvania, and we always stop at a B&B. And so there was a lady at one of our favorite B&Bs in Pennsylvania on the Great Allegheny Passage, and she wanted a geocache. And so I put one in Pennsylvania, and I have one in, believe it or not, South Carolina, that I partnered with somebody down there. But just about all of my caches, I had one in Maryland. I had the #1 cache in Maryland, #1 cache in West Virginia, and #1 cache in Virginia for years. But I'm now I try to concentrate mostly on West Virginia. But so the answer is yes, but not too frequently.
And there's nothing wrong with the state of Ohio, by the way.
Yeah, I
You're in
love Ohio.
Columbus.
Yeah,
You're in
I
Columbus,
love
you can be
Ohio. We
right
go
there at
into
Ohio State University. Oh.
yes, yeah. We live. I mean, wouldn't live. We are starting our bike trip not very far from the shoe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So why don't we jump to talking a little bit about building the caches, etc. Because I think that's one of the things a lot of people are interested in.
Right.
For a lot of folks, maybe they've got they don't have a full on shop, just a few hand tools. And Keats asked a great question, which is, what essential tools should you have if somebody wants to replicate one of the caches from your YouTube channel?
You would have to have a saw. I've actually had people build. I mean, because most of mine are essentially bluebird houses. People ask my latest videos. I'm actually showing some measurements because some people have so little experience, they just really want to know exactly what's the size of the front, what's the size of the back.
Sure.
I don't do any design. I just grab a wood pile and I just start making. So I don't ever draw mine up. But to make a bluebird house or a gadget cache, you're going to need a saw. You could do it with a hand saw, but it'd be easier if you had, even if you had a circular saw. Now I'm blessed to have a table saw, but as long as you have a circular saw, if you had a circular saw and a drill, you could make a bluebird house. And really, um, they say I'm the father of gadget caches, and I don't know if that's true, but I I I think I'm probably the first guy that started putting them in birdhouses, and now it's the thing
Yeah.
because um, you can put a birdhouse anywhere,
Mhm.
and people just recognize it as a birdhouse, and it they don't even think anything about it. Now, in that same area, you hide an ammo can, it won't last a week. But because people see somebody in a bush or somebody there, what are they doing? As soon as that, you leave, they're going to go check it out. If you're working on the birdhouse, they just think you work with the Audubon Society or something. Those
Right.
poor birds that are all crazy. Those, I'm checking up on them. So, but yeah, I'd say I, th- I think you can do it. It's not as easy as what I do. I just stick my wood in a table saw. But even if you had a circular saw, and you can buy an inexpensive circular saw and
Yeah.
a drill and make a bluebird house. And if you can make a bluebird house, you can make 90% of my caches. And I have caches that don't even require tools. Um, I was just looking at my YouTube channel. There are examples on my YouTube channel. I have a cache out now that you have to spot 4 clues. Well, you open, so it, it's an ammo can, and it's at my church, and it says within 20 feet, and anything I say on my cache page is accurate. So I actually take a tape measure and I do a 20-foot circle, and in that 20-foot circle I hit a spider, a tractor, a lime, um, and a buffalo, um, little toy buffalo. And I just put those 4 clues. And so that's an ammo can, but it's a gadget, right? You go there and it's really just adorable cache, and kids love it because their mom takes them. You can see a circle around this ammo can. The ammo can's got a lock on it, and it says find 4 clues that are not natural, that um, and I'll maybe give an example on the page. And so people will look around. Well, as soon as they see the tractor, they go, well, here's a tractor. Well, then they go, now they know what they're looking for. They're looking for links. So I put some up high and some down low. It's an ammo can, but it's a great cache. I mean, it's a gadget. It's just as cute as can be, and it's a gadget cache, but it's in an ammo can. So not all caches have to be birdhouses, although 90% of mine are.
If it works,
Nice.
don't fix it, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Fantastic. I see several people have a jigsaw or a jigsaw and a drill. So
Right.
A jigsaw's work. I said circular saw, but I see that comment there. A jigsaw work fine.
Yep.
And you can take my ideas on my channel. Now there are some complex. The one that I have that's called rings. Um, that one I split the 4x4 post and then took a hand chisel and carved out a hole and put a plumbing pipe in it.
Nice.
And the birdhouse has rings, and you pull these rings, and the rings are color coded, and it says pull the correct ring or rings. So they pull the red one, the blue one, the yellow one, the green one. Then they pull the red blue one, then the red blue green. And so they sit there and they pull all these rings. Well, people call me, and the people at the visitors center, of course, know this is at a West Virginia. This is at the northbound West Virginia Visitor Center. They know how to do it. So when people so when they call me, they go, we've tried every ring. We got a piece of paper. We wrote down all the combinations, and I said it's only just one ring. Well, the one ring is on the 4x4 post at the bottom, 2 inches off the ground. And so the first hint, a lot of times people will say, "Don't tell me, how to solve it. Just give me a hint."
Right.
So on those people, I'll say, think about what I took to the location, because everybody focuses on the house.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to use some ideas where I'm starting to use the 4x4 post. That's where I'm kind of expanding my portfolio. And so I expanded the portfolio to use the post. So I tell them, what did I take? And they go, well, you brought the birdhouse. And is that it? No, it's on a 4x4 post. I said, okay, call me back if you need me. And then I took that idea. Boy, I really got a cute idea. See if I have this one on my channel. Yeah, it says, watch your head. West Virginia Tim Cache falls on your head. This is on my channel. That same ring that you pull, now you put a gate latch at the top and you pull the ring. And when you pull the ring, I built the cache so it leans a little forward. So you pull the gate latch that's on the back that you can't see. Well, when you pull the ring, the cache falls down, and it's conked many geocachers in the head. It's on a hinge, so it's on a hinge, right. And so when it falls, but I built it so that the ring is so low to the ground that you got your head down. The only thing sticking up the top of your head. Most of the time, it doesn't hit them, but there's been a few people who've got a headache.
Nice.
But I mean, I'm off subject now. Give me the next question.
Well, I was going to say, Tim, I bet you've given many a cacher a headache, even if the cache doesn't hit them in the head.
Yeah, right? It is kind of cute. Even the simple ones, like that one we were talking about that I had in Seattle. That's dials. It's so simple. Excuse me. All you do is grab the front of the cache, and it's a cabinet hinge. It's in our kitchen cabinets. They're hidden. You don't see the hinges on your kitchen cabinets. They're inside. Right. They're hidden hinge, and so the cache, just the front of the cache, just opens. Well, I'm glad I'm on the phone and not in reach of these people, because sometimes people will stand for 45 minutes and they're counting all the dials and they're doing all this stuff, and you cannot tell the front of that opens. But then when you grab that one cache and then just give it a little tug, the front of it opens. And people don't use really good language. They must be from Seattle. Because in West Virginia, you got a West Virginian on the line when they're going, oh, darn, golly molly, how'd you do this? I mean, then you got a local.
Yes, ma'am, and yes, sir.
Exactly.
Now, you put your phone number on all your cache pages, don't you?
On the cache. Most of them
in the cache themselves.
Yeah, okay. Not I won't lie and say every one, but in any series, like our newest series is called Hidden Treasures, I'll put it on 4 or 5, because that way if they're caching, they got my number. But I mean, I don't want a DNF. I mean,
right.
I mean, we all cache for different reasons, and some people make a cache so hard, their bragging point is that only 1 out of 20 open it. Well, that's great, and I mean, there are people that love that kind of cache and have spent hours sitting there. I mean, that's fun. So I'm not picking on that kind of cache, but that's not what I do. I want people to walk back to the car. I mean, if I can slow them down for about 15 minutes, that's kind of like my goal. If I can slow them down for 10 or 15 minutes and, just make a great memory, because a lot of times, I also try to reach out to the kids, and I always have a kids cache on all my trails. It can't just be. I mean, I try to when I put out a trail, I want to sprinkle my trail with different kinds of caches, so that people that like hiking, I've got a couple hikes. I've got one always on the bike trail so they can bike. I've got
Yeah.
one that's kids. There's some people love a challenge, so I always have a challenge. But I don't want a whole trail of caches they got to hike, all day, half a day to get to. I mean, that's no fun. And I don't want a whole trail of challenging ones either. So
Mhm.
I kind of sprinkle and try to use variety in my caches. I just want to stump them for a little bit.
That is fantastic. Now, Tim, thank you so much for staying up. I mean, this is really quite a sacrifice, and we appreciate it. Before we close, there's one more topic I want to talk about: the Geo Tour. You've got a Gadget Geo Tour. Give us a quick elevator pitch on this.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we have a Geo Tour here. It's the GT96. It's right now. It happens to be 65 caches, a lot of
Wow.
gadgets. So if you love gadgets, but it's the most favorite Geo Tour in the world right now, which is kind of amazing because there are amazing Geo Tours out there. And so to think that a guy in West Virginia has the most favorite Geo Tour in the world is fairly incredible. But it's just a great sampling, and we hope if you come here, you can spend 3 or 4 days, and if you're looking for a place to have a cache vacation, this is a great place. And you don't have to do the whole tour. Here in this county, which is only about 10 square miles by 10 square miles, you never have to drive probably more than 5 minutes to find another cache that has over 250 favorite votes.
Wow.
So every 5 minutes, you're going to come to another great gadget cache. So, yeah, so we love Berkeley County.
Yes. Well, Tim, it was so good to meet you in person in Seattle. Thank you for taking the effort to leave West Virginia to come on out.
Yeah.
Well, it was cute. It was
explore
cute.
the other part of the world.
I've listened to enough programs that I had my back to you, and you were speaking to someone else. And, you remember when I turned around and I go, the voice, I recognize the voice. No, I didn't recognize Land Monkey doesn't have that kind of voice, but
the dulcet tones of
I
Land Monkey.
recognized your voice right off the bat. And you're, my caches were recognizable. Your voice was recognizable. So.
Well,
thank
we have
you all for what you guys do.
Yeah,
well,
thank you for contributing. Yeah, we have voices and faces made for audio podcasts. So.
Absolutely. Well, you three are three of the best looking guys I've seen in a long time.
Oh, you're too kind.
You're just saying that because of the facial hair.
Right. Yeah.
But again, Tim, thank you so much. And listeners, thank you. We hoped you enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
Absolutely. And we want to take a moment again to thank our corporate Denali level sponsors. That's landsharks.ca and Gold Country Geotourism, both our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online. Remember, they're shipping those online orders daily. And for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures and more geo tours every time you turn around, check out exploregoldcountry.com. And we want to thank all of our faithful Denali level supporters. That's Landsharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Team Squirrel, who we saw in Seattle, Groovy Owl, and Cachely, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting this podcast, well, click that Patreon link on the cachingw.com website.
Just like Flagman did.
And you talks to rocks.
Kitty Quest.
Our favorite kitchen appliance, the LG 9000.
J-Car.
Donners.
How about Antaeus?
How about Logwork?
Korsgat.
And Acrodoc.
GeoNav Pro.
Fairwood West.
And you, Dak.
Sprouter.
Ari, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wet Coaster.
Seebeck Tribe.
Trexer.
Kev MacD.
Team Noltex.
Skyhawker.
B Pendragon.
CRS 98.
Subway Mark.
Just finding our way.
Broncos fan for life.
The Tick Meganet.
Kid Vegas 19.
Segehove.
Green Words.
Kennel Barb.
Genies.
Limax.
GSM times 2.
Dora Moore.
Terrible Lunch. Great Geocacher. Gas Station Tuna.
Alarobrick.
MC3 Cats.
Boomer 365.
We have a rose along with 3 hams.
Oh, yeah. Peach of Washington.
Nerve.
Camp Clan.
And rounding it out, Keats 94.
Nice.
Well, hey, thank you to all of those patrons. Thank you to everybody participating in the chat. And special thank you to West Virginia Tim for staying up well past his bedtime. It's already Friday back there. And Tim, we just thank you so much for joining us. It was great to meet you in Seattle. And fantastic to have you join us tonight. If people want to get in touch with you, ask you a question, send you a message, is there a way you'd like them to do that?
Yeah, I've got all my information on my profile page. Got my email address, my YouTube channels, Gadget Caches. If they have a question, you can hit comments, and I'm one of those crazy guys that respond to those. And answer people's questions.
That's awesome.
But yeah, my email address is on there, or Gadget Caches on YouTube.
Great.
Thank you so much. And folks, thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website. Now, if you didn't like the show, and I don't know how you couldn't have liked this show with WVTim, let us know what you want to talk about. In either case, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Subscribe and give us a review. Now, if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fabulous, fast, fantastic 5-star review. You can also call 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or build us a gadget cache any time of the day or night.
Ooh.
And of course, you can email us at feedback@cachingnw.com. Join us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and even livelier chat. The show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2022 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
Ooh. Tim, we're getting comments about the Tim's tourism guy who has a family from Louisiana, only a few miles away from where Peach of Washington was born and raised. And Limax says, the tourism guy was a lot of fun. I asked him one question that Tim hoped wouldn't get asked. Now we have to know what that is, don't we?
Leave it to Limax.
Yeah. Oh, there were so many questions we didn't get to, Tim.
Oh, gosh. The chat was lively, and we just couldn't get to it all. Thank you so much.
The first FATAS I see is from Keats94. This says a new episode of Keats94 Geocaching Adventure goes live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Two-wheeling it in Salt Spring. It's an episode spanning 3 nights and documenting my solo adventures, spelunking, hiking, etc. Go ahead with it.
I was going to say, that all sounds amazing. Two-wheeling, it's awesome as long as you intended to have 2 wheels.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave it at that because there's been times I've been a wheel short of what I intended to have. But 2 wheels is enough if you plan it right.
Yes, you're right.
I don't know what else to say.
It's pretty appropriate. That's fair.
Thanks. It's great stuff there.
You thinking like the car stunts of the late 70s, early 80s?
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not thinking much of anything at this point.
Okay.
But
Tools of death.
You should join me next week. I'm going to go from Columbus to Cleveland on 2 wheels.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Intentionally?
I have my endorsement. I could join you if I had the time and the money.
No,
I think they're
you don't
bicycle.
need an endorsement to pedal a bike.
Oh, that kind of okay. Yeah, I have the endorsement to twist my wrist.
Oh, no.
But I also do the manual pedal thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, you should come back here, Tim, because they do the Seattle to Portland. We call it the STP
Yeah.
every
How
year.
far is it?
What is it? 200 miles? It's a couple of days.
It's a little short of that, but it's very close. Yeah.
Okay.
know
And
it's
I
about
always
10
think,
hours
if
driving.
if that's why God invented cars. Just saying.
Yeah, I used to say the same thing before I started biking. People would say, well, they biked 100 miles, and I'd go, why was, your car broke or you had to get to work? And now we do it for pleasure.
Exactly.
So they did it in July, and it's just over 200 miles through
Oh,
Western
okay.
Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great ride.
Yeah. And you can do it in a 1 or 2 day event. You got to be in shape to do it in a 1 day event.
Yeah, you do.
I'm in
Or in-
shape, but not the shape to do that ride.
That you got to be in a more aerodynamic shape.
Yes. Yeah. Not the shape I'm in.
Yeah,
Round is in shape.
our group always, everyone in our group bikes our age every year.
Oh,
And
nice.
I just had a knee replacement, and I'm now 71. So I haven't biked my age yet this year. So it's kind of over me, and I've got to do it, but I've still got time. But that's a difficult ride now to have to bike your age.
But you only feel 35, so that's all you're going to do.
I should just, that's not hard. That's not hard.
When you say bike your age, you mean how many minutes it takes you, or how many miles?
Miles.
Miles. Okay.
I'm 71, so that means I have to bike 71 miles. So
Okay.
I've biked my age ever since I've been biking. Of course.
Nice.
But now
That's
it's getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I could bike my age if I was
8.
still in middle school.
Yeah. That's why we go to Ohio, because it's flat.
It's flat. Yeah. In Ohio, you don't carry a map in your car. You just carry a brick. So if you get lost, you put the brick on the ground and you step up on it and you look around and you figure where you are.
Yeah.
And then you are.
Yeah.
Exactly. I used to live in Ohio, Tim, and my dad took me. I don't think he intentionally took me there, but we drove past the highest spot in the state of Ohio, and you're like, wait, that's it? I mean, I don't even think we went uphill to get there.
Yeah.
I want to say it was like 479 feet.
Well, isn't it just an overpass that they dug out to
Well,
make manually that height? Or
see, I always said, when I grew up in Ohio, the highest place I knew was an overpass. That's where I would
Right.
sled from, right?
yeah.
In the winter. Yeah. So, but that's me. IHAM says you should switch to metric.
Yeah,
Oh.
I saw that.
There you go.
Yeah. And Limax says the same thing. Biking your age would be easier in Canada
Yeah.
Sure.
because then you only have to do 71 kilometers.
Yeah,
I like
that's I kind of like that. That I might just be switching this year. I saw that. I was grinning. I'm reading the comments and I'm thinking, boy, I like that idea.
It's a good time to learn the metric system, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Well, folks, thanks for joining us. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.